Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Efe and I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in New York City with my little family and over 100 plants. It's a pretty big day for me. The plant of my dreams, a plant that I've been obsessing over for quite some time, is here. And this time, I mean it when I say after this one, now that this one is here, I'm done. I'm done buying plants for the next few months. I'm on an unofficial plant ban. Oh, it's not a ban. I'm not on a plant ban. Let me not say what I can't commit to. I'm not on a plant ban. I'm on a plant mindfulness watch. 1 in, 1 out. I'm not going to bring in any more plants without ejecting something else first. So yes, I am on a plant mindfulness watch from here on out. But this couldn't be helped because this plant is my ultimate wish list plant. I've been dreaming about it for I don't know how long, a couple of years now. It's not, surprise, surprise, you won't believe this if you know me really well, but it's not an anthurium. I know, shocker. I'm not usually one to be goo gaga for variegated plants, but I saw this one picture, I'll put it up here, on Katie Ann Plant's Instagram, and I don't know, it rearranged my brain chemistry. There was just something about it that I fell instantly in love with. I was obsessed. I didn't even know this was a thing that existed before I saw this picture. It's the variegated version of the Alocasia poly. Now, Alocasia poly is quite a common plant, right? And I don't actually have one. I don't have one. It's a lot of people's first alocasias, the ones that you can find them quite frequently, but I don't have one because I have heard that plant, always has spider mites. Lots of alocasias get spider mites, but apparently the poly's pretty bad for this. So, and also it just never really appealed to me, right? I never felt the urge to get one. I never thought to myself, ooh, must have a poly. So I don't have one. But when I saw the variegated version, I've wanted it ever since. And then I jumped online, of course, as you do when you see, a wish list plant, and thought to myself, well, I'm gonna try to see if I can buy one, and looked at the prices and immediately respected myself and sat back down. No Alocasia polyvariegated for you. So instantly put that out of my mind and decided that that's off the table for me. It's just something I'm going to admire from far. I won't be able to afford one. A month ago, I bought some plants, tiny baby plants from an Etsy shop called The Green Escape. In that purchase, I bought a couple of alocasias, Alocasia watsoniana, another one that's not that easy to find, but it's nothing, obviously nowhere near as pricey or as insane as the variegated poly. And so I actually quite enjoyed the process of buying those plants. It's been quite a while. Before that purchase, it had been quite a while since I had bought tiny baby plants. So that was fun. And since then, I've been refreshing their site just to see what they have from time to time in case they have something that I like, because the tiny plants are super cheap. You can just buy one or two, $15, and that's just a fun little project to do sometimes. And on this fateful day, I hit refresh, and what comes up? Teeny weeny baby Alocasia poly variegated. There was only one available, and you know how Etsy tells you how many carts it's in. By the way, is that legit? Is that a real thing, or do they just do that to make you try to buy? I don't know, but it was showing up as excuse me. It was showing up as one available, and it was in 35 carts. I've never hit buy so fast in my life. Like I basically had an out-of-body experience. I clicked buy without even realizing it, and when I came to, I was the new owner of an Alocasia poly variegated. I am $60 poorer, which, considering how much these go for full size, is a real bargain. I'm $60 poorer, and I had to then wait 2 weeks for this Alocasia poly variegated to make its way through the endless USPS delays that we've been having lately. But it's finally here. It's here. And so that's what we're going to be unboxing today. I'm super excited. Now, I do know that these are very finicky and that it may never reach the mature stage. And they grow very slowly. They're a little bit difficult to care for. It may never look as beautiful as the inspirational photo that I saw, but I just love the chance of being able to try, right? I like the idea of having a go at it and seeing what I can do. So I'm really excited. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I'll be updating the progress of this Alocasia poly and all the other baby plants that I got from the Green Escape. I will provide periodic updates. So without further ado, let's get to the main event. So the Green Escape has a policy that when you buy a starter plant, you need to buy, which is what the tiny baby plants are called, you need to buy a minimum of 2. So I couldn't just buy the poly on its own. I had to choose something else. And so I chose another plant, which is at the opposite end of the spectrum. It's actually supposedly a really easy care plant. But for some reason, this plant is my nemesis. And I think I've owned 3 of these. 2 of them were imported and 1 of them was just purchased locally, and not a single one of them has lived to tell the tale. Yeah, I don't know what it is with me and this plant. There's nothing difficult about it apparently, but for some reason I seem to not be able to keep them alive. So I bought another one. I bought one of those at my second plant to see if maybe I'll have different luck this time. Now that I know a bit more about them. Pulling out the paper wrapping. Thank you, Green Escape. Okay, now this is the first one. This plant is easy care, but every time I get one, for some reason or the other, it doesn't make it. I don't know why. The only thing I can think of is the first couple I got were very early in my days of having anthuriums. It's an anthurium, by the way, of course. But very early in my days of having anthuriums, it was the first time I got this. I think I imported one from Ecuador. A lot of my other imports were fine. This one didn't make it. It's possible that I loved it too hard, but it's just odd because in that same sort of package, I got an Anthurium waterburyanum, an Anthurium pallidiflorum. They're fine. They're still here, you know, 3 years later, thriving and doing fine. But somehow, this one didn't make it. And it should have, the easiest of all. Here it is. It's an Anthurium Crystallinum. That's right. I have probably almost 100 anthuriums or something. I don't know. I have a crazy number of anthuriums, all different varieties. And somehow, Anthurium Crystallinum, which is supposed to be basically the easiest of them all, is the one that I have magically had difficulty keeping alive. Anyway, since I had to buy a second starter plant, I thought, why not another Crystallinum, right? In for a penny, in for a pound. So let's see if this one makes it, or if this follows the long line of Crystallinums that haven't survived my ownership. Here it is. It's pretty. It's very cute. I like this. It's got 3 leaves. Yeah, well, this one's on its way out. Let's just say 2 leaves. So tiny little baby leaf. So adorable. This is going to go straight. I'll clean it and then it will go straight into tree fern fiber, and I will put it in the grow tent just to recover from shipping, you know, settle in and all that jazz. And then when it's a little bit bigger, I'll pull it out and put it here in the living room. If it makes it that long. Knowing my track record with crystallinums, who knows? Guys, who knows? For the main event, the reason we're all here, look, here she is. V poly, Alocasia poly, variegated one. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, I'm sorry. I opened the paper. I got hit with that tiny hit of pink and I felt the rush. I felt the dopamine just go pff. I felt the rush. I don't care how long this plant survives. It's worth it. It's worth the joy and the pleasure I'm feeling in this moment. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Try and get it out. Just gonna rip the paper open. Here she is. My little precious baby variegated Polly. There's a new leaf on the way. She's so cute. Okay, so this is the plant. This is the first leaf on the plant has a tiny splash of variegation, but the second leaf, I don't want to damage this, but look at this second leaf. Look at that pink. Look at that splash of pink. And then here's this one. I mean, I'm sorry, but this plant is so beautiful. An absolute baddie. I hope she will grow okay. I hope she will grow okay and make me proud. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how she does. I'm gonna go put this in to some tree fern fiber and see what happens. But I am in love. I mean, this was worth the wait. This was absolutely worth it. It's just I don't know why I like this so much, guys, but it's beautiful, isn't it? I'm gonna go pot this up along with my crystallinum, my newest so-called crystallinum, the fourth of its name. Little Game of Thrones inside joke. I'm gonna go pot them up and clean them up just to get rid of any unwanted hitchhikers, because the last thing you want is pests in the grow tent. And then I will shove them in my tent and Bob's your uncle. So this is my homemade mixture. In here I have 10 milliliters of neem oil, 10 milliliters of peroxide, 10 milliliters of Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. You can use any brand, I just like Dr. Bronner's. And then I top up the rest of the 16 ounces with water. And this is what I use to get rid of any bugs, any and all bugs on my plants. I know some people don't like the smell of neem. I actually don't mind it. It does a great job for me. I don't think it's necessarily something that makes sense when you're combating an active infestation, because sometimes you need to be a bit more aggressive than that or things can get out of hand. But like, this is really good for weekly maintenance, just keeping everything clean. And in the past, when I've done this every week, I have remained completely pest free. It's only now when I'm kind of lazy and there are so many plants that I find these spider mites, and I haven't had thrips for a while, knock on wood, but I find these outbreaks crop up from time to time. But when I was actually using this every other week or, weekly or whatever, I mean, there wasn't a pest in sight. So I might actually try to get back into doing this more often, or doing it all the time, because it really, really, really works. So I'm going to spray the newcomers with this, and then I will pot them up in tree fern and I'll bring them back here to show you the finished product. So I've cleaned up the Polly, and here she is, having been freshly sprayed with neem. These are her roots. She's in this little grower's sponge peat pod thing. I was going to plant her in tree fern. Sometimes I usually grow alocasias in half tree fern, half peat, maybe with a little bit of perlite for added aeration. But I've had really good luck with pure tree fern when they are very young, and since it's going to be in a grow tent, I think I might go pure tree fern at first, and then when it roots more, I could transition it to that kind of half and half mix. I'm gonna put it in this pot, which is nice and small, so that I don't have too much substrate in there. I think it will do well in this. And then for the crystallinum, unfortunately, I'm out of small, tiny pots. I only have this one, which is a little bit bigger than I would like for such a tiny plant. But then again, Anthurium roots are quite large and they do grow quite quickly. So I'm thinking if I only fill it, if I don't, overfill it with substrate, if I only do it halfway, then as As the plant grows, I can just keep topping it up. Actually, that might even be the best way to do it, because then it limits the number of repots. And since I'll be planting in pure tree fern, I wouldn't have to worry too much about being concerned about overwatering. That's the good thing with tree fern. It retains moisture, but it drains really, really well, really freely. So I'm going to put the crystallinum in this. I finished potting them up, and here is the Anthurium Crystallinum. I filled about half of this pot, so it's not too bad actually. It's just about right. And let's hope the fourth time's the charm. Here is the variegated poly. So cute, so cute. Now to just sit back and watch it grow. And if you want to see just how big my variegated alocasias can get in here, watch this video next. Till next time.